Catalonia is on the verge of a civil confrontation. This is what the Spanish foreign minister said last night, remarks that have inflamed Catalan politics today. Hello and welcome to Catalan News. Will the jailed leaders be transferred to prisons closer to home? This question is becoming an increasingly central subject of debate after the formation of new governments in Catalonia and Spain. 9 leaders have been behind bars for months, around 700 kilometres away from their families who want to see them freed. But if they're not granted liberty, the families hope to at least avoid 12-hour journeys for 40-minute visits. In our show today, we'll go into more details on this, and we'll also tell you about the situation of seasonal workers who've come to Catalonia for the fruit-picking season. The Catalan president, Quim Torra, has ended a round of talks with all the opposition parties in Catalonia, all but one, the main one, Ciutadans. The Unionist forces continues to reject meeting with him and says Torra is doing nothing to avoid a social fracture in the country. Ciutadans was, in fact, one of the only voices supporting the latest controversial remarks on Catalonia made by the Spanish foreign minister that the country's on the verge of civil confrontation. It's the first time he's infuriated many in the country. That is, the first time since taking office last week.
Catalonia is on the verge of civil confrontation. These remarks by the new Spanish foreign minister last night immediately sparked controversy in Catalonia. While he clarified that civil confrontation does not mean civil war, Josep Borrell's comments have turned the minister into a target of criticism in the past few hours. For example, the Catalan president, Quim Torra, called Borrell's remarks outrageously irresponsible. Meanwhile, his predecessor, Carles Puigdemont, accused the Spanish minister of writing a fictional story in order to justify current and future repression. Yet they weren't the only ones taking aim at Borrell.
Les declaracions del ministre Borrell, a més de ser mentida, com és obvi, i això és conegut per tothom, són a més molt irresponsables.
El que hauria de fer el senyor Josep Borrell és explicar-nos quin és el projecte d'aquest nou govern del PSOE, no sobre Catalunya, sinó sobre la política exterior que farà Espanya.
The leader of Catalonia and Spain, the party that aligns with neither side in the independence debate, made these remarks after meeting Torra, who is continuing his round of talks with Catalan parties. Domènech asked Torra to create a platform for dialogue to reach open consensus on the issue. After today, Torra will have met all the opposition groups except for Ciutadans. The Unionist party has refused to sit at the negotiation table with the Catalan president until the banner of a yellow ribbon in the government headquarters is removed.
Nosaltres demanem que, si us plau, es facin passes per acabar amb aquesta fractura social. Evidentment, dir que Espanya és una dictadura o que el president de la Generalitat digui que només governarà per als que porten un llaç groc no ajuden a acabar amb aquesta fractura social.
Yellow has become the colour showing solidarity with the leaders in pre-trial prison or exile in the past few months. Ciutadans rejects any move in favour of the incarcerated politicians. Meanwhile, in the opposite direction, the pro-independence parties are urging the new Spanish government to transfer them to Catalan prisons, as long as the courts continue to reject their release. The inmates are around 700 kilometres away from their families. One of the jail leaders, Oriol Junqueras, asked the Spanish president for a gesture, and while he didn't refer to it explicitly, it's understood he was referring to the transfer of the prisoners that have become the centre of debate.
A U-turn in the Spanish policy towards refugees. The new government today offered support to a refugee rescue ship rejected by Italy and Malta. Pedro Sanchez's executive offered to take in a stranded boat with around 600 refugees.
One by one, guys.
The ship, called Aquarius, is likely to dock in Valencia, south of Catalonia. The Barcelona mayor, Ada Colau, was the first one to offer the city for the same reason. It's not the first time that she supports NGOs helping migrants in the sea. One of the biggest organisations rescuing people in the Mediterranean is the Catalan Proactiva Open Arms. The NGO itself also ran into trouble with Italian authorities recently. The group has criticised the lack of commitment from member states in the EU in solving this ongoing humanitarian crisis, something that, for the first time today, Spain seems willing to mitigate. An organisation in Lleida, Western Catalonia, is also calling for more efforts from local authorities with their migrant policy. In this case, the problem is especially challenging in the summer. Workers come to the area to pick fruit throughout the season, but their working conditions are usually very poor.
As fruit picking season gets underway, seasonal workers have already started arriving in Lleida. Many of the problems seen in recent years, however, remain unsolved. Around 80 fruit pickers are currently sleeping in the streets of the city, according to one group that aims to improve their working conditions. This is an ongoing issue for seasonal fruit pickers. In previous years, many workers even took to the streets of Lleida, denouncing that they were underpaid and calling for an end to the exploitation. Fruit with Social Justice is a campaign that fights to change this difficult reality for the migratory workers who come to the region annually. As it stands, the local council does not provide all the necessities for seasonal workers, according to campaigners. Although they can shower and change clothes, they still have nowhere left to sleep.
Perquè no és lògic deixar dutxar-te de tant en tant i guardar-te la maleta mentre estàs dormint al carrer.
According to one seasonal worker, the situation has not got any easier.
Que los 4 días no me solucionan nada. Y las ayudas son en el día, no por la tarde, por ejemplo, cuando termina la jornada laboral. La verdad que es más difícil que el año pasado.
Fruit with Social Justice, made up of various different organizations, has called on the local council to centralize the services already on offer, as well as providing emergency accommodation. The campaign does what it can, and this year is no different. It offers the same resources as previous seasons, aside from what the local council does. These include food and temporary accommodation. However, this accommodation only provides a place to sleep for 83 people, while last year the number of seasonal workers that came to Lleida totaled around 200.
In other news, tourists coming to Catalonia must always be very vigilant with their belongings, especially when travelling on public transport. Pickpockets are sadly a daily nightmare. But in recent years, thieves also started targeting tourists travelling by car on the motorway. We've got some good news though. A police operation has put an end to the road gang's operations.
A gang that robbed hundreds of tourists in Catalonia has been broken up. Catalan police arrested 15 of its members, and although they won't go to jail for the moment, they received restraining orders that forbid them from returning to their hunting ground, the AP7 highway. Running north to south along the Mediterranean coast, this tall motorway is one of Spain's main entry points for tourists. They chose their victims carefully, small groups, often couples, traveling in high-end vehicles with foreign number plates. One gang member distracted the victims, while another stole their belongings. Goods robbed include computers, cameras, mobile phones, as well as cash. In 6 months, they amassed at least 150,000 euros. Catalan police warned today that the tentacles of this gang went far beyond Catalonia.
Molts d'ells tenen antecedents a mitja Europa. És a dir, per tant, és una organització criminal que, igual que opera en aquells moments, estava operant a Catalunya, opera a diferents punts, entre ells Itàlia, Alemanya o França. També tenien antecedents.
Yet police are confident that the gang has effectively been dismantled. Not only will the restraining order for the AP7 apply in Catalonia, but also in Spain as a whole, the first time such a measure has been taken in the country. The gang members risk prison if they are detained on the motorway at any point from La Junquera on the French border to where it ends in Andalusia. If you're planning to visit Catalonia, the police have a message for you. Keep an eye on your belongings and always lock your car.
In other news, the Catalan world-class film director Juan Antonio Bayona is likely to be pretty satisfied after this weekend.
And if we're not careful.
His latest film, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, has been a box office hit over the weekend as it tops the earnings in the 48 countries where it's been released. So far it's made over $150 million and it's quickly getting close to breaking even of and even surpassing its budget of $170 million. With the film, Bayona aims to give the public what they want, but not what they expect, as he said in the film's world premiere last month. We're reaching the end of our show, but before we go, we want to share with you the music of around 5,500 people aged from 8 to 82 years old from around 80 music schools. They were joined by over 10,000 spectators in the Espanyol football team stadium in the outskirts of Barcelona. Thanks for following and see you tomorrow.